Routing in React is like GPS of your app. It guides users from one page to another. Router is a powerful library with features that elevate your app's user experience. Let's start our video by saying goodbye to manual routing and saying hello to Router. We will use the createBrowserRouter function, a recommended choice by the library itself. Step 1 is replace our render page function with createBrowserRouter. This function receives an array of objects, where each object represents a page. Element is a value that receives two arguments. The first one is routes, and the second one is options, which is optional. We will import createBrowserRouter from Router DOM. Let's reuse createBrowserRouter in our example. We will move all logic from render page to routes using createBrowserRouter. Instead of every switch case, we will have objects in our array. The element property represents our component, accessible through the specific path. We will update the remaining routes accordingly. Let's finish with the rest of the pages. Let's replace it on me and me sub. It will be sub page for info page and sub profile. And let's delete it. Moving forward, we will introduce the RouterProvider, which takes three parameters. Initially, we will use the router property. Let's integrate the RouterProvider into our app and observe its functionality. So let's add it to our component. It will be RouterProvider, where router will be routes. And let's close it. Notice that our app currently refreshes upon navigation. To resolve this, we will use the link component. Let's open our header component. And here, first of all, we need to import link from Router DOM. Then, we will replace all A elements by this component. So let's import it from Router DOM, and we need to replace all A elements by link component. Then we need to replace href by toProperty. By replacing an element with the link component, our application now operates as intended. For incorporating styles to the active link, switch to using NavLink. Within the last names, you can access the isActive property. If it's true, you can assign a last name accordingly. Let it be active, and if it false, just return empty string. So let's check it if it works, and as you can see, my main info is red when it's active. For routes with child components, for example for subprofile component, use the outlet component to render it whenever desired. So let's import this component from Router DOM and try to add to our component. For example, after div, or before title, and after title, or any chosen locations which you want. If users open the page which you don't have in your apps, use asterisk symbols in the path property. So let's add one more object here in our routes, where path will be asterisk and element will be some default page, which probably we need to create. So let's create some component. It will be default page, which returns simple HTML. Return div and maybe some text here. Let it be some h2 with not found text. Also, we need to add some last names. Let it be title, title white. Probably title white. It's not a good idea because we have white page, so let's delete it. And here we have not found page. While switching between rows, you may notice that the scroll position persists from the previous page. To restore it, you can use RouterProvider component to ensure that the scroll position is restored to the right spot. So let's import it and add to our component. As you can see, now the scroll position restores after every page. Our ads page uses fetch for fetching data. It can be moved to the route component. So let's delete fetch from the component and move the logic to the route, where we need to use the loader property. The component will not be rendered until we receive data. So let's use just fetch API, where we need to put our URL, and to have access to the data from the component, we need to use useLoaderData. Importing useLoaderData from router DOM. Let's just replace it, and now we have small component with one task, shows data. As a result, when we click on Ads page, we receive all data before opening this page. That's all for today's video. The next video will be focused on router hooks. Let's see in the next video.